Hello and welcome. This is Pepin from Pepin Reacts, and here today I have my best friend. His name is...
I'm here too. Meader. Hey guys. Oh, should I have a different... We're in season 2 of Breaking Bad now, so should I have a different catchphrase? I'm Meader. That's better.
So this is Meader, and we have another great episode of Breaking Bad. How do I know it's great? Well, I saw it I don't know, 10 years ago, and I don't remember anything about it. I've only seen up to season 2, episode 5 or something like that, so I really don't know what happened after that. And it's been so long, I don't have a good memory of what happened. I remember 1 or 2 episodes from this season, because they were really sad, and I think that's where I quit watching the show. Just far, far too depressing. Meader has obviously seen the whole show. He knows everything that happens, including whether or not there's a baby. Now, we'll get to that discussion in the discussion portion of this episode. But, Meader, anything you can think to bring up before we start the episode?
No, I'm really excited for season 2. Really excited for you to start getting into some new stuff you've never seen before, and hopefully you don't get depressed.
Well, the depression will be okay, though, because I have somebody's hand to hold. And that hand is my own.
If you'd like, I can send you a 3D printed version of my own hand for you to hold.
Would you do that?
Or glove.
Oh.
My hand's been in. You can turn it inside out, and then it's just like touching my hand.
Okay, for a second I thought you meant a glove made of your skin.
Oh, that's possible. We can do that.
That's a creepy ass idea.
I'm gonna go visit the doctor real quick.
Okay, that was episode 277 of Breaking Bad. Now, this episode, a lot happened. And I think the main thing that happened here is that my heart was won. By who? Jake. We didn't actually meet him this episode. Huh?
Oh, I thought you meant the snail.
Wait.
From the beginning of the episode?
What was the snail's name? Was it Snail Jake or was it Jake the therapist?
No, Jake was not the therapist.
Who's the therapist?
John.
David?
Mark.
Mark? Okay.
Some generic white boy, man.
Anyway, the snail, I think the snail is integral to the story because it just gives us the idea of the pace through which the murkiness occurs, and you leave a trail behind, just like they're doing. They're leaving trails.
Dave.
That's right. Okay, so we have Dave, who I think probably the best character we met so far.
It's Dave, who's probably not a snail, though we don't know yet.
Yeah.
And Jake, who is a snail.
So Jake and Dave, I assume they actually know each other. I don't know why I think that, but it's just a hunch I have. And Jake, I mean, if we're not going to call him the best character of all time, at least the second best.
You know what I'd really like, Nate?
What's that?
I'd really like if we spend the next 20 minutes analyzing Jake and don't talk about the episode at all.
That would be incredible. Okay, but people probably wouldn't want to watch that. Oh, actually, maybe they do. But
you know what? Maybe that's a bonus episode.
Bonus episode. So we have a couple things happening this episode. So this episode, I think, is more of a setup episode, though some stuff definitely happened. So we get a recap of the previous season, and it seems like they filmed that probably at the end of last season, if that was the case, logistically. Which doesn't really matter, but essentially, Tuco goes crazy. He ends up killing this other guy, and then Tuco's like, "Hey, revive him, man! Science, right? You know science." And it's kind of what it's like if you know anything about something. People assume you know other shit too. It's like, I might be able to fix computers, but people are like, "Hey, can you fix my dryer?" No. I don't know anything about dryers. So that's what happened there to Walt. And also Tuco is just not very smart chemistry-wise. And they get forced into a situation where they have to try to revive this guy. And he's dead. And the other guy, what's his name, Gonzo, he is kind of like, dude, man, this is messed up. You know, we can't just like leave him here. So he's got a little bit of heart there. And Tuco's like, no, we got to do this. You're done. And I don't know why he didn't off him right there.
It was such good delivery of the "you're done." That was really fucking good. Like, I got chills.
So we find out later that Tuco did off this guy. Now, I'm a little concerned because is Tuco offing this person? Like, did he off him himself or was it somebody else?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
He didn't?
No. When the DEA pulled him back, Hank explained what happened. Gonzo went back to try and recover the body or bury it or whatever, and the pile of cars shifted and caught his arm and pinched his arm off, and he bled out. So he didn't died by complete accident.
Okay. Is that canon? Because the way I interpreted that was that Hank was making a misassessment because they made it to look like that's what happened. And that's not how he actually died.
Okay, then. Yes, we both have valid theories here. That's my bad for taking Hank at face value.
Yeah. Well, because the only reason why I think that is because they already hid the body, right? And unless he went back there to hide the body better. Because that's maybe one scenario I can imagine that, because they did foreshadow it because he like did the thingy and then the car started like kind of like teetering. So they had a little bit of foreshadowing there, but it would have had to happen at some point when Gonzo came back. But from the perspective I was seeing, it looked like, I mean, I guess if it did look like it did to Hank, it'd be hard to stage that. But then again, I don't know.
I guess at minimum we can say, from the DEA's perspective, this is the truth. From Jesse and Walt's perspective, this is the truth. And who knows what Tuco's perspective currently is.
I still just can't get over Tuco just just laying in the back seat.
Oh, that was the coolest thing he'd ever done.
I just don't get it. Why he has people. He uses people. Why would he be endangering himself? I just don't.
I mean, he does smoke filtered cigarettes. So.
Yeah, that's true. Like, honestly, you know, between Jake and Ryan, Tuco, you could have had the top spot, but the fact that you had filtered cigarettes, they look like they're unfiltered, but it's just like your boxing gloves that look like testicles. They're not real.
Does that put Hank as your number one spot?
I think so.
You loved Hank this episode.
I liked him towards the beginning, but towards the end, he became a bit more Hankish.
He got real Hank at the end.
It's just like, hey, Walt, you want to see something crazy? Sorry about Skylar, blah, blah, blah. But hey, here's a dead body from a crime scene.
And, hey, Gomez, take a picture of me with the dead body. What?
What is up with that? Like, Hank's a little fucked up in the head.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was like a good person at all this episode, but he was being a bit more the voice of reason, which is kind of strange to say. He's kind of been the voice of reason a little bit in the past too, but he's kind of the voice of reason a bit, and he's also just being very awkward in his approach to things, which is just hilarious. Like, he's trying to talk to Skylar, it's just not working. He's trying to talk to Marie, it's just not working. And just all those different little aspects are just hilarious. Especially the hug. He's just like he just doesn't know what to do. And I guess he's kind of the opposite of Walt there. I mean, maybe not exactly. Hank knows how to use violence, but he doesn't know how to connect to people, like emotionally. And maybe Walt doesn't quite know how to connect to people emotionally either, but I think Hank's far more awkward with it. So give me your thoughts on the whole Tuco and Gonzo sort of ordeal.
I mean, it seems like it was Uko trying to once again put his status above everybody else's, his machismo, and just like being like, I'm in charge here. That was very important to him, making sure that everybody was following like what he was saying to do. Gonzo seemed to actually push back some on it, despite having just watched him beat a guy to death with his bare hands, and be like, "Come on, dude! Like, we gotta at least bury him." And either died for that or was died for that with because of Tuco killing him. Died for that because he went back to do something else with the body. Who knows? But for something to do with that whole situation caused both of those guys to die.
Yeah. And we don't know how many people Tuco has exactly, but he seems to have quite a lot. Because when Walt kind of went into his compound, there was a lot of people there. I mean, it seems like there's his main guys, which he killed off, or both are dead. But I gotta assume there's others there, and he might have other friends too that we haven't seen. So there might be like a wider network to things, but I don't know if they would care too much if Tuco died, because it seems like there's some tight competition between people. But it's hard to know exactly, because the thing that I'm confused about is Walt and Jesse are playing this like, if they kill Tuco, the problem is solved. But I just feel like if they kill Tuco, more people are going to come after them. Like Tuco is at the top of that pyramid that we can see, but doesn't Tuco have friends and people he knows in that organization that will kind of connect the dots and say, oh, he must have been off by these two, and then go after him?
I don't know. Maybe people have lost like interest in supporting Tuco after he killed off one of his own guys. Like maybe some loyalties have dropped off.
That's true. Or they might see it as an opportunity to take over his position as well. Because it could be a good number of things there. Tuco, he seems effective with his job, but whether people would cry if he died would be another matter.
Yeah,
I don't know. But Walt and Jesse, quite afraid. Walt was thinking more about the math. He wasn't even like looking at the danger there at first. And then he comes home, and then he starts trying to have sex with Skylar. You could say it's definitely more on the rapey side. I wouldn't go that far, because they have a relationship together, and it's maybe within the bounds of the relationship. He stopped when she said stop, but he was being overly aggressive, like a bit too much so. And the way I was reading that or conceptualized that is he had that aggression and loss of control, and sex and aggression are very linked together. And that was him trying to regain his control. And I think the other part to this too, and you see this as a theme in like so many different stories, is that he was finally now contemplating his death, because he didn't really worry about the death back at in the car. But here he was contemplating his death, and a big thing is when you contemplate your death enough, your body will move to procreate, because it's like, oh, this is my last chance, gotta pass on my genes. So he was having that instinctual urge to kind of procreate again, which obviously doesn't make sense because Sky was pregnant, but the brain's stupid. It doesn't really think about that kind of stuff. So I think it was a dual sort of thing going on there. Would be your interpretation of that, Meader?
Well, that's pretty much in line. I mean, he's got an insane amount of thoughts going on. And the last time he did something like this was he had sex with Skylar after he killed Crazy 8?
I think so. I mean, he's done it a couple times, for being real.
Oh, I mean, clearly he's got at least 2 kids, right? But I mean, in the show, like with like right after something aggressive happening.
Mhm.
I only remember that one. I'm not counting the time in the car.
Oh, okay, so there was the time when I think it was after the first episode, he got home, and I don't think he had killed him yet, had he? Yeah, actually, it did happen in the first episode. So he killed them, and then he approached it then, and then I guess the other time is after the school meeting, which I think there's a time before that too. I think there's one other time, but maybe I'm misremembering. But
Either way, I think he's harkening back to that, but it was much less in control this time. Those times, he was the one in control of those situations on the aggression side. This time, he was actually submissive in the things that happened. He didn't actually like cause the aggression. He was caused to him. So he was trying to like play out that same idea, following that up with a sexual thing, but like it was just off because it wasn't the same, you know.
yeah, that's true. Because the other times he felt in control and he was controlling the situation. Here, the situation was controlling him, and it was to give him that sense of control. Because oftentimes, if you're having certain thoughts and feelings, a lot of times it makes sense to try to reinvigorate those feelings, even if it doesn't quite fit the context. And that could just be by doing something. Like they say, what is it? Kind of what we were saying before, like with the whole, like, you might ask a question, you might say no, only to say yes later, but you only said no just to give yourself the sense that you had control. So I think there's a lot of aspects there. He's just trying to emulate that. And then there's an aspect to Skylar this episode, which I don't know if it matters, but we saw her beautifying a lot in this episode. And I don't know if that hits any sort of theme or any sort of idea, or if it's just like trying to give Skylar something to do. What's your thoughts?
Was it beautifying or was it taking care of herself?
More on the beautifying side, I would say, because you could argue both, right? I guess.
Because the first time we see her, she's rubbing oil on her belly or whatever. She's like doing a face masks thing, and then she's in the tub.
Yeah.
Those were the three, right?
Yeah. I mean, you could say that doing the face mask thing is an aspect of taking care of yourself. It is important to take care of your face, but it's also a bit superficial, or it's like an appearance sort of thing. I think it was more beautifying, but it is taking care of yourself. It's like kind of grooming, right? Grooming is taking care of yourself, but it's also an aspect of beautifying. Same with kind of taking the bath, and she went all out with all the candles. So you could say it's an aspect of beautifying to some extent, more relaxation probably.
Yeah. She was also, before Hank showed up, she was sitting on the ground just like looking at pictures and laughing, which was another relaxation thing. She told Walter that she had the house to herself all day. She was like alone all day. So I think like R&R is kind of the whole idea behind that day for her. But I think that taking care of herself is like is the baby. Her and the baby right now are the same, the same character. So her focus right now is on taking care of herself, taking care of the baby by extension, or vice versa for that matter. Like that's where her focus is. And realistically, Waltz is in a way in the same spot, but just in a very different way.
Yeah. Walt, I think, gets more enamored by the idea than the actuality. Like, he likes the idea of taking care of the baby and taking care of his family, but he doesn't actually see, like, his family. It's kind of like some people get this attraction to helping the poor, and they fight for that idea, but they don't really, like, they're fighting more for a conception of poor people as opposed to, like, people who are poor, like individuals that make up that category. Like they might attend events, but they're not actually like donating money or spending time in soup kitchens. Which, you know, there's multiple things to do, but I think that's kind of a distinction there. Like Skylar's more focused on the baby right here, and Walt's more like the baby, the metaphorical thing in the future that's going to be coming at some point. Like he didn't. Maybe there's some distance there because he didn't want to imagine it because it's going to bring him such sadness.
Or he knows that like right now has to be about turning his time now into money for them for the future. It's like he doesn't have now to appreciate the baby. They never get to appreciate the baby. So his way of appreciating is to give them what they need going forward.
I see. So it's the context he's in that's kind of forcing that dilemma on him.
Yeah. Sometimes
Okay.
you forget that cancer's like a part of his whole deal. Like, and that happened when Skylar was in the bathroom and she looked down at the counter and there were tons of pills. That was like all she saw of Walt that day, pretty much, was the pills.
So then we also have another little plot line with Skylar, and that's with Marie. So we open up with a scene, and there's like, I can see right through you, and like all these splendas, kind of for me metaphorizing like fakeness and hollowness in some sort of way. And she's trying to make contact back with Skylar, and she's trying really, really hard. You know, she's bringing up anything except for the whole stealing sort of thing. And it's not working. Skylar's not answering the phone calls. And it's like she's going overly long. Like, I guess to give him enough time to pick up the phone is one aspect. But I also think that Marie is kind of lonely. And she's kind of like missing that relationship and trying to do her best to repair it, you know, whatever way she can. And they kind of go out, or she goes out, and then Hank's there, and there's some sort of kid playing with a toy, and then Hank's like, you know, what about Jake? And she's like, Jake? No, I don't know who Jake is.
Dave.
Dave. Oh, yeah, how could I ever get Dave? Dave, you are the best. And he's like, she's like, oh, well, you know, and it's like only 6 more sessions, and she's like, well, you got your days mixed up, honey. And then she just kind of like leaves and crushes the kid's car. What do you think is up with the kid? Like, I can understand, okay, or what do you think of in general? But I can understand like the fakeness and trying to reach out, but I can't understand the implication of the kid there.
It's a metaphor.
Okay.
So the car is the disagreement between them. And it literally, like, the kid slams it into the car wheel between them, like very literally physically. Then when she just deny, that's her whole MO, is just live in her own world, pretend everything's okay. Drives away and crushes the car, crushes this whole idea by completely ignoring that it's even there. Doesn't even see it, just right through it. And Hank goes over and throws money at it to make the problem go away.
Okay. And that was just some neighbor kid, right?
That's my understanding. Yeah, it's just some kid.
Okay.
He knew Hank's name.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. I think he addressed him as Mr., right?
Yeah, Mr. or whatever his last name is.
Yeah. So, okay. That makes sense. I'm still having a little hard time of seeing the full metaphor there. But I don't think I was paying enough attention to the kid.
The metaphor is just that there's something between them that Marie is refusing to acknowledge and would rather destroy than even tend exists. She doesn't go around it. She doesn't stop. She's right through it. And Hank throws money at problems to make him go away.
Right. I see. And that's kind of what he's doing with the therapy, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
And she just bulldozes it and doesn't even care. Like, she didn't stop. She just kept going. And Hank's just like, ah, man. And so Hank knows she has this problem, which that's an interesting revelation.
Not only that, but he knew that it was stolen when they gave it to him.
Yeah, that's
still
weird.
let it happen. That was weird to me too.
it makes Hank very opaque because he's like, we're working on this. This is a work in progress. But like, I can't understand his relationship to people per se. Because does Marie have a very special place in his heart to allow for that? Or is he just morally bendable in things?
I mean, we know he's morally bendable, right?
Yeah.
We know that up front. And I think he showed a couple of different ways this episode, too, that he, like, cares way less about the morals of any of this stuff. Because, like, they're joking about all of this, all of the like stuff that happens when they see the cam footage of people stealing stuff. They're like joking around about burglars. They're like, "Oh, this is James Bond. This is cool." And they're like, "Oh wow, no, these guys are idiots." And they're like, "Okay, they're cooking old school meth. This like what's going on? I don't know, but they suck at burglary." And then they laugh. And then he's like taking snapshots with dead bodies.
Yeah.
Guys that he knows, like that all of the moral. There's no like moral upholding there. It's all just like this is all a joke to him. His whole job seems to be just like entertaining more than it is like anything like a moral, not a paladin,
Yeah. Yeah. That's intriguing. Cause he likes his job, but it's almost like he likes it cause it's entertaining for him, and he gets to do this kind of stuff. And I suppose in a way, it kind of mirrors Walt in some different aspects. I mean, Walt's on the other side of the law. He's doing illegal stuff. Hank's doing some illegal stuff too, obviously, or some morally deleterious type kind of stuff. But Hank is having fun with what he's doing because he's able to express his violent nature or his aggressive nature, or whatever you want to call it. Like the darkness within inside of him. He's able to express that, and he's having fun. Walt kind of has that same aspect when he is being Heisenberg, kind of more that insidious kind of dark figure, or say more. I wouldn't say dark. I'd say just calculative. That calculative figure, the one who does the chemistry. I think they're having a similar sort of thing. I think Walt gets more of I think Hank's more playing, and Walt's more like a wondrous sort of joy at possibilities. But I think there's still like two sides of the same emotion, or like similar emotions that they're having. And yeah, so
what's interesting is I think that if Hank had the opportunity to kill somebody in the course of doing his job, he would revel in that. He would love to be able to like shoot somebody. He would brag about it. He would keep the bullet and the guy's head on his mantle if he could. Like, that seems like a very Hank thing to do. He wouldn't think twice about killing somebody. If Walt kills somebody at his job, that is like world shattering for him. Completely changes like who he is as a person.
That's true. Yeah, I think Hank is in a way more sociopathic. Like he has emotions for his family, but not much beyond that.
Yeah.
Which I guess you could say is bad. Yeah, you could say that's bad.
He's also that is a firm stance you're taking there, bud.
I was gonna argue against it, but I'm like, that's not a good idea, is it?
Maybe I'll let this one be bad.
So he comes in and he goes to Skylar's place, and his whole MO there, I'm not even sure what MO means, but his whole thing is like, hey, Skylar, just return one of her calls. Marie wants to talk to you. You can scream at her, you can yell at her. I think he knows already what the issue is, why she's pissed, and he doesn't want to say it, because he doesn't want to admit it himself. But it's weird there because he's trying to get help from Skylar, but his whole internal motivation right there is himself. It's
I don't know that I agree with that he knew what the problem was.
You don't?
No, I don't think he I don't think he knew. Obviously knows it's a problem, but I don't think he knew that's why they were mad. I think in Hank's ape man brain, he thought girls bicker. This is just two girls being catty. He said, I know you girls have your little fights, or he said something like super like demeaning and like talking down to Skylar, and Skylar was just like, oh, that's how you see this. Like, I don't think Hank. Are you saying like subliminally he knew, consciously?
I think that Hank had a couple ideas in his brain. I think he had a couple different possibilities in his brain that what it could be, and one of them was that he figured it could be about the tiara being stolen, and she found out about that. I don't think that was his primary thought, but it's kind of like when someone says, "Hey, we need to talk," and then the theme roll starts playing and everything. But before that, it's like you're like, "Oh, about what?" And you have like maybe 6 different ideas of what it could be, and then maybe one of them is about the baby or about Marie or something like that. And when they say it, you're like, "Okay, I should have figured it's about that." Like you kind of know, but you're trying to play it off at first as being these other things. So I think he knew to some degree, but I don't. Maybe I'm a little less certain, or maybe what it is more is that he didn't know that was it. But when she said it, he's like, that makes sense. Like
That's more the line that I think he was on, where he was like, he didn't know up front, and he would never obviously suggest it. Maybe it was in the back of his mind that like it was a possibility that was the case.
I mean, he was well aware it was stolen.
Yeah, it definitely was that. But he did say, if I thought you were going to return it, like I probably wouldn't have given it to you.
Yeah, yeah. And Skylar blows up on him, and Hank does not know how to deal with this. And I think it's the same way he kind of deals with Marie. He's just like, what do I do? This is awkward.
And shuts down on that.
Yeah. And in a way, you could say it's kind of in the same way that Walt struggles with his lack of control. Like Hank had a lack of control in that instance, and that's where he's most like confused and just like, what do I do?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what do? You take that yelling. You get yelled at because you were a fucking idiot. Apologize. You offer to help any way you can, and you get the fuck out.
You know how much work that is, Steve, right?
You know how bad he just fucked up? He said 0 correct things in that entire interaction. It was 0% right out of 100.
I think that's why I loved it. It's just so bad. Just so bad. And we don't really know how that interaction ended, besides Hank doing an awkward hug.
I think he left.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
Well, yeah. Eventually. Yeah.
The assumption.
Okay. Doors over there. Okay. See you later.
I gotta get back to work. Type of thing.
And we know he went to a crime scene later that day, I think, or maybe it's a different day.
No, that was the same day because he apologized to. Like, have you been home yet?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So he did have somewhere to go, technically. So whether Skylar is gonna get in touch back with Marie or not is an open question still. I don't know if Hank moved that needle at all. My guess is probably not, because now she knows that Hank is implicit with this. It's not that they're not trying to get help, and Hank does seem like he wants her to get help, but it's not clear that Skylar really gives a fuck about any of that. It's like, this is all about Marie now. What about me? The pregnant girl who doesn't have a husband.
I think that that makes complete sense too, and it kind of fits with what we had been saying when we had been talking about what is everybody's rationale behind how they're acting in the first few episodes, and we were saying then Marie just likes attention, And I mean, that's Skylar's position as well. Is like she's doing this for attention because there are people in her life like actually need things, so she needs to do something drastic in order to compete in a way for that attention. Obviously, she has Hanks, and Hank's her husband, so that's his role. But like, she wants everyone else to feel bad for her too, and at least that's Skylar's perspective. My sister just wants people to feel bad for her.
I don't think that's the case here necessarily. I don't think Marie wants anyone to feel bad for her. I do think she wants attention, but I think more so she's, I don't think she dislikes Skylar. I think she sees her as a sister, and she wants that connection.
I don't think even Skylar's suggesting it in like a she doesn't like me type of way. I think she's suggesting it in a she's my sister and she wants to get attention over me type of way.
Yeah, okay. So it's a bit more bickery.
I mean, kinda in a way, but more like they have history. Skylar seemed to be speaking from a place of this isn't the first time this has happened.
Gotcha. Is there anything else you could think of with the Marie Skylar storyline?
I mean, clearly Marie isn't going to the therapy, right? Like she told Hank, Hank was like, "No, it's tonight. We had to pay a fee to change it and all of that." And she's like, "No, that's wrong. You're wrong." Then he's like, "I really think it's helping." She's like, "Yeah," and drove away. Like clearly she's not even going anymore.
I thought she was just skipping that one, but I may have misread that.
Maybe this is the first one she's skipping, but clearly she doesn't any stock in it, I think is the minimum I could say there.
I mean, it's got to be a tough thing for her because she has a hard time admitting that she's wrong about like anything. And that's what that session is going to be designed for. So I kind of actually want to see how that works for her because it would be interesting to like, okay, say you're wrong. Wrong about what?
Yeah, exactly. She is definitely heavily in denial about everything.
And she's a doctor, and we know that doctors go through a lot of medical schooling. They have to be pretty smart to get a degree. And
I think she's a lab technician at an X-ray place.
Oh,
I don't think she's like a doctor.
Oh, okay.
Granted,
In that case,
you still need to be fucking smart and go through a bunch of shit to do that stuff. But I don't think she's like doctor level.
Okay. So maybe not as smart, I was thinking. But still pretty smart. The only thing I was thinking is that an issue you can get with people who are on the smarter side is that if you start getting, say, mental neuroses, you can justify any of your thoughts. Like, I had a moment of realization of that when I was like in third grade. Like, if there's anything I want to do or anything I don't want to do or reason why I want to hate somebody, I can make up a reason for that. I can come up with like a decent argument, at least for myself. Whether it's convincing the other people, who knows? But it's so easy to convince yourself of shit. Like, if you have like a somewhat smart brain, and I think Marie succumbs to that. Like, she's not dumb. She's very intelligent. And I think she could just play these mental games in her mind all day long, and she just goes along with them.
I mean, you're probably right. No, she's doing mental gymnastics and she's doing manipulation. So, at minimum, she's adept at doing those things.
And so we also had the whole storyline here with Jesse and Walt, and trying to figure out what to do. Walt is like, "Hey, I got beans and ricer," and it's like, "Ricer beans? No, death cometh to you all." And so they plan to like poison him, but that plan may not go well because, I mean, he's in the back seat, and he's got a gun, and what are they gonna be like? "Hey, you want a sample of this?" And what's Tuco's plan exactly? Because is it to kill them? That's the only thing I could think of. And Tuco's not being smart in so many different ways here, because he's not only just like okay, we don't know if he killed Gonzo yet, but if he did, his tracks are just getting wider and wider and wider. Like, you kill one person, okay, yeah. You kill another person, another person, and another person. Like, these lines just get all led back to you. And then you also put more force on law enforcement to actually go after you. So I don't think he's thinking too great here, but maybe he just thinks he's invincible.
I think it's hard for us to dissect that too without knowing what angle he's coming from. Is he coming from he just killed Gonzo, or Gonzo just randomly showed up dead or disappeared, or does he even know Gonzo's dead? Like, if Hank is right and this was an accident, he may have no idea what happened. Or if he killed him and dumped him, then he may be literally just trying to tie up his loose ends and could be trying to flee to somewhere. Who knows what's going on there?
I see. So he might even think that Hank and Jesse killed Gonzo. There's a possibility there. Huh?
That's a fair point.
And both are paranoid. Jesse gets a gun, which I'm surprised he didn't already have a gun. And he paid way too much money for it too. Like, it looked like he had about maybe... actually, no, maybe it wasn't too much money. Maybe it was about... it wasn't 2,000. It looked like 2,000. No, 2,000 a little bit higher. Maybe 1,200. So maybe that makes sense.
I mean, regardless, it's a blackmail. I mean, it's a black market gun too. Probably something untraceable with the serial number scratched off, which is super illegal. So this is all that's needs to be taken into account when you buy anything black market. The price is literally whatever people want to set it to.
That's true. That's true. And so he's got a gun. Walt took the gun. The gun's the argument's supposed to do. And it's like their planning here is not very good. But how good a planning can you have?
When did Walt get a second cell phone? Saw him like fumbling with cell phones in Jesse's basement.
I assumed that one was his burner phone and the other was his personal phone.
Oh. Okay. I wasn't sure if I missed like a whole scene or something.
Yeah. It's possible he has another burner phone too. Because I don't think that would be uncommon to do. I mean, just guessing. But, yeah.
No, I've had burner phones before. Not for drugs. Okay, now I'm legally safe.
Oh, okay. So it must be for the sale of Burger King posters.
It was for legal prostitution.
Oh, okay.
I think they call it escort services.
Well, I guess I could say I know a guy.
Now you can say that.
Yeah. So they're trying to escape Tuco. Jesse's plans to get out of there. That doesn't work. They seem like they got people tailing them, but we don't know too much because we assumed those were Tuco's guys, but it's kind of left ambiguous. Would you say it's Tuco's guy that Walt saw in the driveway? Because that's the implication, but...
I mean, they were paranoid, so who the fuck knows like what anything is right now. But it was somebody who was watching them, lit up a cigarette, backed into a driveway and drove the opposite way so that Walt couldn't like see their faces when they drove by. Always stayed in the shadows. So it's somebody who clearly was watching when he got home. They left as soon as he got home. They made their presence very well known, which is probably an intimidation thing would be my assumption. Because I could imagine in theory it could be like detective or a cop of some sort. Although we'd probably see something on that side from the Hank side, but maybe it's something outside of Hank's knowledge. But I think I don't think a cop would have ended it that way. The cop would have like tried to stay hidden.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the cops, when a PI might stay in the car like that, but a cop is more likely to like have like a van and stay inside the van, I think.
I think a PI would probably stay there, but I don't think a PI would make themselves known and like start the car, light a cigarette, back away. Like that was very deliberate to say we're watching you.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, so we could probably assume that's an intimidation technique.
Or a
tactic,
really bad PI. It's
or
possible.
really bad PI. Yeah, that's true.
Or
I like the
maybe
first
something
thing
we don't know about.
do you think?
It's possible. Remember the beginning of the episode where there's that eye in the pool? And that weird teddy bear? What's that all about?
Oh my god. It's the baby.
Oh. It's so the baby goes to the past, lights a cigarette.
It's behind the teddy bear too, or wherever the fuck that was.
It's not the baby.
It's not the baby.
It's cancer.
Oh,
How are we so dumb to miss that?
god damn it! And
It's
that's
cancer
why
all
we didn't.
along.
That's why we didn't see its face, because
All we saw was the ash of a cigarette.
yeah,
The ember.
this is all just like making the plot come together here. But
It is.
maybe that was a little bit too spoilerish, if I'm being honest.
It's fair.
Because
Cancer's the glue that binds this all together and tears it apart.
ooh,
Yeah.
that's a good one. I like that.
I'm here too.
Oh jeez. Okay, I think that's the peak reaction right now. I mean, how can we get past that? So, I said this at some point during the episode. This season's gonna get crazy because the reason why I say that if things are in such turmoil and there's so much moving around right now, and where I think things are going to go crazy is because there's no base. Like the way a season will start off a lot of times, if it's not going to be like too much going on, or I'm not going to say a lot going on, but staying around the same location, is when it kind of keeps you grounded to the home base. But here, it's this constant moving around. They're at Jesse's house. They're at this location here. They're out there. And maybe it's just an aspect of them trying to cram a lot in the episode. But things were just kind of like going all over the place. And the implications of what's happening are just kind of like all out there, essentially. Like it's a boom, do. Everything's super uncertain. So I think this season's going to be very, very uncertain and chaotic. Like it's not like I don't know how they can. I think the best metaphor for this, or best analogy in the episode, was given when it's like, okay, so what do? We take the gun and shoot him in the head. What if he has people with him? What about this? What about that? Like, there's a million different possible combinations, and how to actually deal with those situations. It's just chaos, right? There's no way to predict it. And whereas Walt was able to be methodical in the last season to some degree, I think he's gonna have to go with the flow here, and it's just gonna be like kind of you make decisions in the moment sort of decision, and not like waiting a couple episodes to whether to kill Domingo or not. It's gonna be a lot different.
I mean, this one started off with a murder again, like last season did. Very super interesting way to start that, huh?
Oh, what was that teddy bear about? Is that something we haven't seen yet? Okay, so it's something that we'll explain later. Then it sounds like,
Yeah.
because I don't think we saw anything with that. So some sort of foreshadowing.
They're forward or backward in time. Who knows? It wasn't black and white.
Why was it in black and white? Well, everything except for the bear.
Maybe it was in black and white just to show like it's disjointed from the normalcy of the current world. The current world's in color, and anything that's not in color isn't a part of the current storyline. Who knows?
Yeah,
We'll find out, I bet.
yeah.
We didn't talk about Walt Jr.
Oh,
How fucking cool he was. Walk in and see a fucking mess and just be like, not my problem. Keep walking. Which is the best reaction you can have.
you think he thought like, oh God, Mom and Dad, what are you guys doing?
Maybe he thought his mom was just messy, like getting something from the fridge.
Oh yeah,
Maybe he's like, oh man, there's avocado all over the place. To really go for a good avocado meal.
So I think Walt Jr.'s scene right there was probably the ultimate I'm here too sort of moment.
That was exactly what that was. My inspiration has been revealed.
The plot just had to say, he exists. And
And now he'll go to Lewis's for the rest of the time.
I think he's dealing drugs.
Probably.
I don't know why I think that, but if you think about it, Lewis lettuce, devil's lettuce, is marijuana. So he must be dealing marijuana.
Father like son.
Yep. And really what it is season 1, episode 6, that was foreshadowing.
Was.
I don't know if that was the right episode, but
Is that
it
the
must
one where
be.
he was eating Doritos?
This is all making sense. Doritos, meth.
Doritos, meth, marijuana.
There's so many things there. I mean, all three of those begin with an M. And if you think about it hard enough, like M, 3 M's together, that's I think this is where we're gonna have to leave it. So if you guys love the video, definitely leave a love. If you guys hate the video, that's cool. If you want to dislike, don't. And comment, subscribe, notification bell, ding 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 ding. And as always, we'll see you next time in episode 17 of Breaking Bad. You guys have a great day and peace.